Hi and welcome back to Alistair Davies Golf. I'm here today at the beautiful Forest of Arden course where I'm based at the 17th hole, beautiful par 5, looking at the difference between the chip and the pitch shot from a question from someone's comment. So please post your comments and ask your questions, I'll be sure to get back to you with a video as soon as I can. So the difference between the chip and the pitch, for me, sometimes the scenario will dictate what shot I play, but I'll talk to you about the difference between the shots as it stands anyway. A chip shot's going to be a shot that's going to be much lower, generally, depending on the distance we're covering. If I'm hitting a very short pitch, the height difference between that and a chip with a sand line will be not much, but it certainly will be slightly lower. The amount of run on the ball will be increased with a chip, depending again what club. If I'm chipping with a 7-iron, it's going to run quite a vast amount. It's going to run kind of 75% of its journey, a 9-iron 50%, and a sand iron probably 25% as rough numbers. Now a pitch shot, I probably want it to land almost kind of 80% of the way there, depending on the scenario and situation. This particular scenario here, it probably will run more than 20%, purely because the green is going downhill and away from us as we would look at it. So it would just change the trajectory and how the ball is wanting to react when it lands in terms of the outcome on this particular shot I've got here. But in theory, the technique is different, okay? So with the chip shot, I'm looking to play what I would class as a one lever style action, so very little wrist action at all, or no wrist action ideally. If the swing becomes longer, the wrist will automatically start to work a little bit, and we don't really want that for this chip shot. We want to keep it, again, very passive. I call it kind of my thumbs down shot. From a setup point of view with a chip shot, I'm looking to stand much closer to the golf ball. The heel of the club's going to be raised slightly off the ground. This shaft line is much more up my forearm. I'm looking for 70% of my weight on my lead foot. This is going to help produce that downward blow and make sure I get that ball first contact and get that lower flight and let it run to the hole. So that would be a chip shot setup for me. And the style of technique, as I said, would be one lever kind of shoulder rocking, and off we go. Let's try one here, this shot. Again, from here I would not normally play a chip shot. I'll play a chip shot from much closer to the green, but I want to try and show you a film from, both shots from the same scenario. So let's try one. So this might run a little bit out too far. Hands high, weight forward, keep the weight forward. Rock back and forth. And again, I'm having to land the ball short of the green with that style of shot. One, because of the amount of power I can produce from that length of swing. And also, to get it to be anywhere near the hole, I'd have to play it that way. Now the pitch technique is going to be slightly further away from the ball, so the club sits more or less towards my belt line, so much more natural, so the wrists are able to work. In the chip shot, we're obviously arching our wrists a bit more, so that locks them in place, so they rock back and forth far more. With this shot here, the wrists are much more natural in their inclination at the start. I'm going to allow the club head to travel more upward. And you see here my thumbs point nearer to the camera, my thumbs point nearer to the target, so it's a slight what I call thumb up. I'm using the bounce of the club a lot more. The angle of attack will be less steep. I'm having 60% of my weight in the front foot. I'm stood with the same width of stance, so it's narrow for both shots. But because I'm further away and the wrist angle is more natural, the wrists are working naturally more, and that is going to produce more loft on the shot. There's less angle of attack down, so we're hoping to present more dynamic loft on the shot. Again, if we strike the ball correctly, we'll still have quite a low flying shot because there's not much power. And normally with a very good play, we'd see it kind of grab up. Again, today, on this scenario, downwind and downhill, I'm not expecting this ball to grab at all. So, process, a couple of little practice swings. I'm probably swinging just to my top of my thigh with my arms back and forth. That is the feeling I'm trying to get for the distance I need for this shot. Okay, so I pulled it left a fraction. But you'll see there the ball on landing is definitely softer as it lands. And the kind of concept I almost want in my head is kind of like an underarm throw. So I'm trying to get my hand to face this way. So as I go through the shot, the club is facing kind of back towards me a lot more than it was with the chip. The chip is much stiffer line. The thumbs are pointing still towards the ground, producing less loft at impact and that lower flight we talked about. So essentially, that's the difference between the technique of the chip and pitch. From a scenario point of view, I would want to be playing the chip shot kind of inside this cut area so I can land it on the green, then run it to the hole. The pitch would be much more like this, where I've got to go over something like grass, bunker, or an object where I need that little bit more height. And it makes me play that way. From a consistency factor, the chipping type shots are going to be much more consistent for most golfers. You know, even there, my chip shot is closer to the hole than my pitch shot. The pitch shot, again, I didn't execute perfectly, but the chip shot is closer and it's much easier to play. Have a go both these types of shots, but as I said, if you can, chip it when you can, pitch it when you can't. That will probably reduce your scores generally, okay? And it'll give you much more consistency, and you've got much more opportunity of holding shots when you get the ball rolling quicker. Hope you've enjoyed this video on the difference between the chip and the pitch. If you have, please click like down below. It really helps my channel. Really appreciate that. Also chat. Tell me what videos you want to hear from me. Short game, long game, concepts, you know, situation scenarios, on-course stuff. Let me know what's good for you. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I've got regular content coming every week on a variety of subjects. Thanks for watching. Catch you again here soon.